Jai Shri Ram. Hello friends, welcome to Chitra Astroraj YouTube channel. The same video will be uploaded on Unnati Astrowala YouTube channel also. I am also welcoming the viewers who watch Unnati Astrowala. This is my first video in the year 2024. That means 2024. I had already uploaded a video based on the numerology prediction. As you know, the year number is going to be 8. And today, I'm going to share the same concept. That video is available on Unnati Astrovala in Hindi. And the predictions are based on the driver number and the year number. The same example I am expanding here, but their prediction I will match in terms of the Vedic astrology. The one of the native whose chart is with me, his date of birth is 70. That means this native is having a driver number 8 and financial year is also 8. That means predominantly this native is going to have the influence of Saturn on Saturn itself. Or you can say two Saturns. Two Saturns means this native is going to be more disciplined. This native is going to understand his duty. If he acts positively, in more diligent manner, in more dutiful manner, but if he is not making that Saturn as positive, he will run away from the work also. That thing I had told you based on the driver number and year number. Now the same thing with Vedic astrology, I am going to discuss in this video for that person or this particular person who is having a Virgo ascendant. His date of birth is 17th, but as per his chart combinations, you can see here directly whatever I had told you. The Saturn is in ninth house of Dharma. That means now if I go through in detail, this person is again having a Saturn Rahu Mahadasha. In Vedic astrology, whatever your chart is there, that chart will show the promise and fructification or the result of that promise will be achieved during the Mahadasha of that planet. Now this native is presently going in Saturn Rahu Mahadasha. That means before that he has Saturn Rahu, Saturn, uh, Mercury, then Saturn Ketu, Saturn Venus, Saturn Sun, Saturn Moon, Saturn Mars. That dasha is already over. Based on his chart, that native might have got some good or bad results depending upon Mahadasha and Antardasha. If I take starting from that part, Saturn for this person seems to be very good because Saturn is having the ruler of 5th house and 6th house. He may complete some education. That means whenever his Saturn Mahadasha will be started, that native surely might have completed some sort of education or his capacity to give the advices to others or act as a counselor might have been increased. At the same time, 6th house being the house where that person is served to the other peoples, maybe that person is a housewife or you can say not working anywhere, remaining at home, that means he will serve other people, whatever the assigned tasks are there, diligently. That is more important. And if that person is working, he is going to work at that working place or workplace, there also his status will surely improve in the Saturn Mahadasha. Now, before coming to Saturn Rahu, just I want to tell Saturn was good for that native. Saturn Mercury was also good. Saturn Ketu have some implications, but overall good period, still a positive period. Next, then Saturn Venus, good period. That Saturn Venus period, when about to finish, because there are two planets, Saturn Venus, because Saturn dispositor is also Venus, that was okay. But when Saturn Sun comes, because these two planets are malefic in natures, or they don't behave that much positively always, if you are not going to use their energy properly, this native Saturn Sun Mahadasha was not. Similarly, if you go through that, Saturn Moon is again 6, 8 from Saturn. If you see the Moon is in 6th house, that somewhere this 6-8 relationship also not always not give good result as per the Vedic. But here Saturn Moon was not so good for this native. Then after Saturn Moon, Saturn Mars. Saturn Mars was good. Now, if I'm saying Saturn Rahu, that Saturn Rahu will also be good or bad, depending upon how this native is going to work. Now, Saturn is sitting in the 4th house in the sign of Jupiter. And wherever Rahu sits, he acquires the prominently energy of that. If the native work for gain of the property, or he just look after the status for himself, then his Rahu characteristic will be more prominent and he may not get that much good result. But he behave just like a Jupiter, because Jupiter is Saturn and Jupiter are 5-9 to each other. Then obviously this native Saturn Rahu period will also be good. Why I am telling this, and I have mentioned this Antardashas, Pratyantardashas during this different period. At present, if you go through that, obviously this Saturn Rahu, Saturn period will be there initially till this, you can say, 27th May 2024. And because Jupiter is also sitting in the Saturn Rashi, this seems to be good for his overall image. If he is working as at the capacity of advisor, surely he is going to give very good advices to others, and those person will also get benefited from that. If he is a teacher, he is going to give or impart good education. If he wants to travel foreign, he can travel foreign and he can increase his reputation by delivering spiritual or religious lectures. If he's in higher education, if he's in higher education, like you can say medical profession, then he is going to do very well in his medical professions. There are reasons for that, but I just want to tell if all these results has to be identified, because Chitra Astroraj YouTube channel is a platform where I share openly some part of my knowledge without expecting anything from anybody in this world. If the video is at Unnati Astrowala, I there work for my survival and I charge money also. But here I just upload the video. I'm not going to discuss anybody chart. Those who send their charts may take depending upon my karma, but on Tuesday, I give some part of my knowledge so that if other people are interested, they can learn how these things are there. First thing I told that the chart configuration is the most important. Whatever chart you are born with that, you are going to follow the path according to the chart. Some famous astrologers, some famous spiritual leaders, or some gurus might have been blessed by the God itself, and there they claim that they have changed the destiny of those persons. Good look, good luck to them. I am not fighting with anybody, but in my opinion, my practice, nobody can change anybody's destiny. Only thing, whatever I can do it, I can tell this type of activities, this type of projections are going to happen with you. You can align your energy so that you can or yourself can modify the result depending upon your present karma. Because your past karmas always going to be subtracted from the present karma. And in astrological language, you can always say Sanchit karma always gets subtracted from the Prarabdha karma, and you are always going to carry some Agami karma. Say, for example, whatever the karma I have done in between 20 to 30 years of my age, in between 30 to 40, they are Agami result I am going to experience depending upon that. Say also that is also there, because my whole theory is based on that. If I try to get achieve moksha or I work for the moksha, I don't know how much time it will take, how many births it will take. But once you start progressing on that work, on that path, you will one day surely succeed. And if you are lucky enough in this birth itself, you can rectify the previous all birth also. It's not necessary that you are still going to go through the remaining process. This is a duty because God has given some duty based on the karma. If you can fulfill all those karma, you can get the moksha in this birth also. There is no hidden secret that the Ketu should be in 12th, Ketu should be in Pisces, or Ketu should be in particular sign that you then only you are going to get the moksha. It's always because your Sanchit karma are going to be subtracted from the Prarabdha karma. If your Prarabdha karma are so much, if your Sanchit karma are negative and Prarabdha karma are so positive, obviously Agami karma are going to be resulted into positive things. But if you had so much positive karmas, then again you will take rebirth to enjoy the result of those prarabdha karmas. Now it has to be a balance. That's why I have seen the sadhus or the famous spiritual persons or those who try to achieve moksha. They take very less thing from the natural resources. Those who take many things from the natural resources, they are never going to get uh, moksha. Those who take bare minimum, optimum for the survival, I'm also not in that category, but the moksha is only achieved or obtained by those who take very less from the natural resources, and from there they return the same amount in lieu of that, because they know they are taking very less, and a person can pay back to the society very less. That much, whatever I am taking, if I am taking and paying back to the society, I am working towards achieving that moksha. Now, the secret behind how it achieved, I am going to disclose in this video also. Say, for example, the Saturn Mahadasha is there. Saturn Mahadasha and Rahu Antardasha is there. The scopes are basically built around those. And if I also consider Pratantar, then Saturn Pratantar, say for example, because this native is going through that 14/12/2023 to 27/5/2024 period, and he will obviously give some feedback to me. Now here Saturn being sitting in the ninth house becomes more important. Saturn dispositor also becomes more important. Similarly, Rahu becomes important and Rahu dispositor also becomes very important. Now, any result, as you know, this double transit, but I normally take triple transit. Why I take triple transit? These are the houses which are impacting. That means you can say the eighth house dispositor of Saturn and fourth house, ninth house because Saturn is sitting there. Rahu, fourth house and fifth house because Jupiter is sitting there becomes more important during this period. Whatever this native is going to achieve during Saturn Rahu period is going to be associated with the fourth, fifth, ninth, and eighth house. But how he is going to achieve that? That the transit planets, which are the transit planet? These are going to be the Jupiter, Saturn, Ketu. If Jupiter, Saturn, Ketu are involved, that means that time some religious activity will be projected during this period for this native and for this native. If Saturn, Jupiter, and Rahu transits are going to make connection, that time is some sudden maybe gain or sudden loss, that type of some unwanted or uncherished where religious activity or spirituality or some part puja type of things are not going to be performed. Say, for example, if somebody gets lottery, that person never perform the puja. He just go to bar and all this part, conduct party for the friends or purchase new vehicles. For that type of activity, Rahu plays more important role. And whenever some birth and death happens in the life, that time part puja or some religious activities are performed in the house. That's why I'm saying Jupiter Saturn becomes the basically blesser or the timer for that, but the more or the result conveying postmans are basically Rahu Ketu. Now, based on this Rahu Ketu, this Saturn, Jupiter are basically able to transit Jupiter and Saturn are basically going to impact this native. Let me take torch, the eighth house, because Saturn third aspect, Jupiter transiting over this house, and both the seventh aspect of Saturn and Jupiter fifth are on 12th house. That means somewhere this fourth house, sorry, eighth house and 12th house are projected by this Jupiter. But now, based on that, this Rahu Ketu indications are not there with these houses. That means they are not going to impact either eighth house and eighth house and 12th house. Now here the Lord of 12th house is Sun. Lord of 12th house is Sun and Lord of Mars is Lord of 8th house is Mars. Sun being in 8th house, again not expected by the Ketu or Rahu. Normally people take or they have divided opinion about Rahu Ketu aspects, but I take these 5-7 aspects for all planets in Brigunandi Nadi. Based on that, this Jupiter, because I treat this Ketu follows the path of Jupiter and Rahu follows the path of Mercury. So I am taking Ketu here, going to make a connection with the fifth house being Mars here and Jupiter here. That means the native is going to prominently observe the results related to the fifth house during this period. This is my prediction for this native. That means he's not going to travel for foreign. This native is not going to have sudden gains or sudden loss. The most important events projected for this native from 14th December 2023 and 27th May 2024 are based on fifth house. If I go Vedically, by Vedic mode, the fifth house is the house of entertainment, fifth house is the house of solution. If this native is not in the age group of education, is not going to complete education or something like, but the skills may be improved because Jupiter and Mars are there. And this, if this person is working, this person also get promotion because the chair, the office chair or the status may be seen by from other houses, but the chair officially on which you are sitting or the status among other people's, if you get it with the fifth house. That means this person has a very good scope of getting promotion if it is working, or if he's doing his own business, then his status will rise among his peer groups or his competitors. Another important thing is, and he is going to perform some religious activities also, because fifth house is the Pura Punya Karma or Pura Pap Karma. But if Ketu, we take it as a Pura Punya Karma, and it is having a same significance with the help of Jupiter because is involved. It is there in certain sign, and Ketu is also expecting. I am not saying small gains from ninth house and eighth house will not, he will not get, but the major event will be related to the fifth house. This is my predictions. Others, whatever wants to say, they are most welcome. I am not going to deny or not block any comments because so many people give the negative feedback also. Let them. I have not bothered about them because these techniques I had tried based on, and I have a positive feedbacks from my clients as well as my students, those who have achieved the events. I hope you have, through this video, you will get an idea when you are going to get what type of results. The same thing if I go through the Bhrigunandi Nadi aspect also, because Bhrigunandi Nadi is basically a planet Karka base. Now, the planet, again, if you take the same example of a transit, Saturn is transiting and it is not making any connection with, you can say, because in Bhrigunandi Nadi, all five planets are there. It is Saturn is making only connection with Moon Ketu. Moon Ketu is basically intuition. Intuition comes very handy when you become an advisor or a counselor or a teacher. You can predict or you can give an idea what going to happen. That means this will help. The intuition will help this native. Same way, if Jupiter is there, it is making a connection with Sun, Venus, Rahu. And if is doing religious activities, Sun, Venus, and basically the Rahu, Ketu can behave oppositely. If you surrender, then Rahu becomes a Ketu. But if you have a more desire, the Ketu also becomes a Rahu. So based on that, because Sun Venus combinations are there in this chart, and it is making a combination with the Jupiter. If this native is going to have a fifth house Karka is Sun. Fifth house Karka is Sun, or Sun basically related to the child also. Based on this fifth house activity, the Sun may get in a promotion. Or if that person is of that much age, his Sun is working, the Sun may get in a promotion, or Sun may get in a house, because this Sun Venus Rahu combination gives this type of activities. So based on that, I predicted the events as from the Vedic, and I correlated with the numerology as well as the Bhrigunandi Nadi. I hope this you will find this video more informative and logic one, and try to find out the results. First, you apply the same concept, whatever happened in your life, whatever the result in the previous Mahadasha and Antardasha has happened to you find out from there. Then you can only correlate with whatever I am saying. Otherwise, you follow whatever you want to follow and give your feedback. Jai Shri Ram.